The innovative pedagogy. The innovative pedagogy transforming teaching learning process. We have experiential learning, integrated pedagogy, promotion of peer tutoring, equal weightage, and bagless days, use and integration of technology. When we talk about out of these, like, experiential integration, all this we are doing in our classrooms. But what interests me the most over here is bagless days. And bagless days is actually mentioned in the National Education Policy for grade 6 to 8, where they come without bags to school. And if grade 6 to 8 can do it, why not grade preschool to grade 5? Why not have it, say, once a month or once in 2 weeks? Imagine if the child is coming bagless. What are we going to plan? That is very challenging, actually, for the teachers, because we have a tendency of holding to a textbook, a curriculum, the blackboard, or something. But if that entire bag is not there with the child, what are we going to do? We are going to have circle times. We are going to have art and craft. We are going to have a lot of play time. We can invite parents as resources to share stories or the experiences. And also we can, not just invite parents in the classroom. If most of the time, what happens, the parents are busy. So we can always have a digital um, interface with the parent and the class in the hybrid mode. So all this will take a lot of planning, but the once it is implemented, the results will be amazing. I'm sure of that. So transforming the teaching learning process through experiential learning, integrated pedagogy, equal weightage to extracurricular, bagless days, and integration of technology. Reduction in curriculum. Now, reduction in curriculum is an important aspect for primary section. Why? Because there is a huge disparity between schools, among schools. For example, one school will be doing, say, 1 to 10 in nursery or kindergarten, or 1 to 20 maximum. And there'll be another school who will go up from 1 to maybe 100, 200, and sometimes insanely 1,000 also. And I have been teaching in schools, luckily, where they focus only on 1 to 10 or 1 to 20, where the concept is important. Concept of the numbers are important. But what happened there were some very competent parents. They come up and say that, that school, they're doing 200 and 1,000, and your school is doing only till 10. What is this? So can't you teach something more to our children? So that is the mentality of parents. We need to get hold of that mindset. We need a shift in that mindset, that concepts are more important. Quality is more important than the quantity, especially in the early years. If the child understands how to read, recognizes the words, understands the operations of the numbers. Numbers are all 0 to 9. All numbers are permutations and combinations of 0 to 9. So what's the hurry? Let's focus on the concepts, the quality of the curriculum. So that is why reduction in curriculum is extremely crucial at the primary stage. That is why, if the child suddenly is faced with a 3-digit number in grade 1 or grade 2, already the foundation is shaking. And by the time they reach grade 6, they are again back to the first stage. Why? Because quantity. There was so much of quantity, but we need to focus on the quality. So NEP is customized according to the learning capacities, changing environment and technologies. It is not one size fits for all. It is thoroughly customized. So these are the pedagogical approaches that can be used in the primary level: theme-based, play-based, activity-based projects, or inquiry-based emergent curriculum. At primary, we have the freedom of uh, applying so many activities and so many pedagogies, mix and match, collaborate, cooperate, and do it with, because we have this focus that what are we doing it for? We are doing it for the children. We want them to be familiar with basic concepts. Once that with that mindset, if we go into our classes, we'll do a brilliant, brilliant job. I'm sure of this. And we need to come back again and again to the theme-based, play-based, activity-based, project-based, all this in our classrooms. Next, we have teamwork, collaboration, ethics, self-identity, emotional development, behavior, and play-based learning. So to conduct these activities, we need to have the basic knowledge of the brain structure, how it is going to benefit our children. Mental and physical health and well-being. This is very important and crucial for every child. Mental and physical health and well-being, health checkups, reduced weight of bags, focus on nutrition, developing an inclusive and caring culture at school. And when we talk about that health and well-being, we need to talk about equity, gender equity, and including children with a disability and in our classrooms. This actually develops empathy in our children. We are losing out huge on this. We need to bring back kindness, empathy, gratitude, well-being in our classes. And how? Well, there are multiple resources for that. You can use circle time. You can use a lot of listening skills through play. Observe the child in the field, and you will know what their problems are. Most of my problems in the class, or even when I struggled to write remarks for my children, I used to, this is a this is a secret I'm sharing with you. I used to take them to the playground and observe them very deeply, their behaviors. And within a jiffy, I used to get so many points about children in my class whom I would look at them with a perspective of maybe numeracy skills or literacy skills, but in the playground, they are their real selves. They are wonderful beings in the playground. They show their real selves. So always remember this: to know your child, you need to be at their level in their field, and you will have a great rapport with the children immediately. Support for gifted students, students with special talents. There are a lot of things that can be done at the primary level also for gifted students. You can have a set of worksheets for children who are extremely gifted in maybe academics, or you can have a set of artistic equipments, maybe colors. Some children are gifted in art or music. So we need to support those children with ready-made resources available in the classroom. NCERT and NCTE will develop guidelines for the education of gifted children. Without, I mean, we can start at our micro levels too, without waiting for the government guidelines. We are primary teachers, and we are lucky to have that freedom. The freedom is given by the school, the freedom is given by the government also, to, start at our classes, in our classes, from where we are, what we have. Just begin. So we are moving from this to this, or there always is a child or two in the class who is disinterested in what is going on in the class. Maybe that child already knows or doesn't know what's going on, or least disinterested. We need to find out some pedagogies which will be effective for children, for every child in the class. Parak, as we talked about assessments, so there will be National Achievement Survey, which is going to take place, state achievement surveys, and Parak is performance assessment review and analysis, knowledge of holistic development. So they will be organizing some kind of tests for grade 3 level, at grade 5 level and grade 8 level. This will be really basics, not very high level. So setting up of Parak, performance assessment review and analysis of knowledge for holistic development, shift towards competency-based assessments and 21st century skills in classroom. So this is the National Testing Agency, which will be developing the AI-based software or whatever we will be using in the classroom, and the holistic progress card, 360-degree multi-dimensional report for every child. So assessment in preschool education, how to carry out assessment and reports, tools and techniques. At primary level, mainly it is monitoring and supportive supervision. So how we observe children, how deeply we observe their behavior, not just academics. We are not talking about academics over here, but their behavior, their social interaction, the talents that they have, all these come in the portfolios and the 360-degree report card that we're talking about. So multifaceted, flexible, play-based, activity-based, and inquiry-based. Now, this is a classroom, a typical classroom. Generally, what happens, this kind of environment is after the break, or maybe after 3 hours of schooling, they have come to school and now they are on their own. No matter what the teacher says, someone will be sleeping, someone will be turning around, someone is completely... So this is what happens. But again, like I previously said, we need to go to the level of the children. We need to understand why this is happening. Maybe the home environment is influencing this child, or maybe there is some emotional attachment that this child is looking for, or maybe a teacher is, not so interesting for this child. The pedagogy is not very fascinating for this child. So we have a mix of children, and we need to cater, we need to understand where they're coming from. And I'll tell you my example. I had prepared for this class, this maths class, and I was so happy that, yeah, today I'm going to rock it. But I entered the class and I started with the great energy. And this child was least interested in what I was doing. And I went to this child to see what he's doing. He had, he was folding something and he had stacks of that folded paper. And then I asked him, what are you doing? So he said that he got startled. First of all, he didn't expect me to come there. So then he got startled. So he said that I'm making planes. I looked at it and said, wow, these planes are really good. So I said, why don't you teach us all? And he's like looking at me, really? Do you mean that? So I said, yeah, why don't you go there and let's learn from you. And then he was like, he was really at it, and he went and he showed it to the class with the paper, and he knew exactly where the children will falter, where the children will find difficulty in folding the paper, and how it has to be done. I said, wow, I could not have done that. I would not have known that children will find difficulty in this. This guy has done that so well. And immediately the children were, ready with their planes, and immediately, thank you to the school where I was given that freedom to take the children to the playground anytime. That freedom was there. So immediately the entire class went with their planes, and we were flying the planes all around the school, and everyone peeping from the windows, what's happening over here? Where are these planes coming from? So we can always break the monotony of the class. We need to understand from the perspective of the child. That's all. This is the structure. We have from the CBSE site. Earlier it was 10+2, and now it is different. What is it? It is foundational learning curriculum, 3 to 8 years, 3 to 6 years, 6 to 8 years, and preparatory class of 5. Now let's see, 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. This is the new structure. Now, what is this new structure made up of? 5 years. The first 5 years is preschool, nursery, KG, grade 1 and grade 2. So up to grade 2 is the first 5 years. The next 3 years is grade 3, 4, and 5. So 5 plus 3, 8. So 8 years is given to primary. So primary importance to primary school. So, and then it's 3, 6, 7, 8, and 9, 10, 11, 12. That is 3 plus 4 years. So this is what we are focusing over here in today's webinar. So Anganwadi, preschool, Balvatika, all this comes in the first 5 years. And then age 6 to 8 years is grade 1 and 2. Okay. Then plus 3 years, age 8 to 11. This is preparatory stage. From foundation stage, we go to preparatory stage, and then middle school and secondary school. That is the order. So the curriculum, goals of preschool education. Now this is a circle time. Now circle time is very challenging, but if done repeatedly, children learn social skills, listening skills, empathy, and what have you. They can learn everything which is not book related or academic related. All other skills can be learned through this simple circle time. And Nelson Mandela actually had a story to tell about this, that how he used to go with his father, and they used to sit in the circle where everyone is equal. So that's a great learning. And expected outcomes out of this is universalization of access of education, attainment of sustainable goals, resource sharing, then achievement of learning outcomes, equity, inclusion. All these are the expected outcomes of national education policy. Multilingualism. This is another aspect that we need to understand, that is that we can use multilingualism in our classrooms. And NEP has mentioned about the 3-language scheme, where 2 languages are from, it should be of Indian origin and 1 foreign language. It is okay when the states are doing it, but in a city, there is a multicultural people coming from different cultures and different languages. So we need to understand the difference between that, and then accordingly we can choose. There is again flexibility in the use of language. The school complexes and clusters, sharing of resources, Samajik Chetna Kendras will be developed, where schools share their unutilized resources with other schools. So they collaborate. CPD, teacher education, that is continuous professional development of teachers. This is again 4-year, 2-year, and 1-year B.Ed courses. This is 4, 2, and 1, 4 to 1, 1 to 4. Sometimes we need to add fun also in webinars. So actually it is, 1-year B.Ed you have to do. If your master's degree, you have 1-year B.Ed. Bachelor's degree, if you have done, then you have a 2-year B.Ed. And if you have done your schooling, then it is a 4-year integrated B.Ed. So all B.Ed programs also need a lot of changes, because with AI coming in, with Google tools coming in, with so much of software which is digitalized, the programs need to be included in the B.Ed curriculum too. So Anganwadi Kendras, they also have special training, high quality ECCE teachers for Anganwadis. 10+2 teachers will be trained. There will be a 6-month certification for them, qualification. Lower than that will be a 1-year diploma. So they will also be mentored by NCERT and DTH channels. So standard setting and accreditation, school quality assessment and accreditation framework. So there will be a body that will be checking on to the school quality. And then we have expecting education to bloom under the national education policy. So here we have high quality Anganwadis and significance of primary school education, aims, objectives, designing child-friendly learning environment. Now, child-friendly learning environment, this looks like utopian and it looks very, very flowery and nice, but when you actually do this in classroom, I am a teacher, you are a teacher, we know what happens in the classroom. Someone, throws something there and someone fights with someone and there's total confusion. But there is always a possibility of dividing the class into just 2 sections. This is the activity section and this is the work section. Start with that. No confusion. And then as the children get used to it, because they, even teachers, myself, we were not trained for a classroom like this. We had done B.Ed, ages ago. So we were not trained for a classroom like this. So we also need to learn, and for the implementation, we need to try out things. Unless we start, we will not know what the challenges are. So let's begin. Partnership with parents and community, extremely important. Parents also have great resources to share. So let's bring them in too. Supporting children transition. Now transitions are like from Anganwadi, a child coming from Anganwadi, a child coming from with no know-how of Hindi or probably English or language. He's coming from another state. Or a child coming from very high-tech play school. All are coming to the same classroom. How do we support that transition? How do we support that change? How do we bring that culture? So that is how the module by NCERT is going to help us, and even the state boards. If they develop something for the Bal Vatikas, and for Anganwadis, where there is a uniform curriculum, and children are immediately they know, okay, we know this book and we know this picture, they relate to it, and then there is a smooth transition in learning. So sample weekly lesson plans. Lesson plans are extremely important, and we need to plan it across levels, collaborating not just intra classes, but inter classes too. Nursery, KG 1 and 2 can get together. Like, what are you doing for introducing this topic? What are you doing for this topic? Okay, we can take this and we can take this to the next level. So when you collaborate like that, children are most benefited from this kind of lesson plan rather than individual lesson plan. So these were some of the activities that I was involved in with children. This is again one activity, sound activity. I'm hiding somewhere behind the curtain. So the 1 minute video that you saw, prior to that, it took at least 25 minutes to 30 minutes to explain what is going to happen and how it's going to take place. And the planning prior to that also was there. So there is a method to every magic in the classroom. Get into that mode of applying, implementing, and seeing the magic in your classrooms. So with that, I wish you all the best and thank you for being such great participants and listeners. And I am here to answer any questions that you have. Involving my community, children in the community during the lockdown also. There were some activities. So just starting with what I have, where I am, that's it. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll just stop share and we are back. So any questions, anything you'd like to say, please feel free.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Neena ma'am. That was really good. Gave us a real, a very a nice overview of the whole thing, but we really have a long way to go. We have a lot of work to break it into pieces.
Yeah, I agree. I agree now.
Thank you very much, Neena ma'am. This is Rachna. I agree with Beena ma'am words there. Really, your session was like briefing out. Now we are planning what to teach, what not to teach. Are we going on right track or not? But surely we'll keep your session in our mind and work on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, I have a question to put forward. Like
Yes,
right now we have Montessori teacher trainings for the pre-primary classes. will these will be effective after this new education policy, or everything will be concluded under B.Ed only?
Ma'am, Montessori, all these will be effective. Why not? Because B.Ed is compulsory for grade 1 onwards. But
Yeah,
for
yeah. Right
when we're
now,
talking about, yeah, Anganwadis, and when we're talking about Bal Vatikas, Montessori is the way. It's a wonderful way of
so
interacting with the children.
eventually, like now, if we want to become a pre-primary teacher, like that is catering the needs of the preschooling, like the age of 3 to 6, right? The nursery
Yes.
KG1, KG2 classes. For this, the
Mhm.
schools look forward to the teachers who are trained under these ECCE programs. So will that be the same later on, or BA teachers will be required for the same? Like these will be ruled out, and only BA teachers will be looked forward to, or both will be going parallel, like they are going right now.
Parallel.
They'll be going parallel. Okay.
Yes,
Thank you
yes,
so much.
absolutely.
Thank you so much. It
Well, it
was
will be going
very
parallel, and
informative.
also some, as Nina was telling, that the 3-month orientation course will be given to the teachers
Okay.
who are teaching at those levels. So there will be
Okay.
slight modification, but the existing courses will continue to be valid. They'll be adding more substance to those.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Especially
sir,
the
is
Can
it,
I have one more question, please? Can I ask you one more question, if possible, if time
Yes, ma'am.
allows?
Yeah, please.
yes.
Like any kind of affiliation is required if you want to start up a pre-primary teaching school, or if you want to start up a pre-primary teacher training course, like
Yes, ma'am,
any
definitely.
information regarding?
Yes, ma'am. Because otherwise, what will happen is that anybody can start a course without any valid content or curriculum or approval. Then those teachers may not be trained properly as per the NEP. So right now, you are having so many play schools. What is happening is that they don't require any approval. So in some play schools, they are teaching only, let's say, 1 to 10. In other play schools, they are teaching 1 to 13. So there's no regulation. So once the NEP comes, you are starting from those 2+ age group. So the teaching courses as well as the play schools will come under the ambit of the whole NEP. That's why it is now 15 years. Earlier, it was only 10 + 2, 12 years. So now if you calculate, it is 15 because they've included from the play schools.
Okay, and what about the one who want to do it like during this transition period? Now we are in transition from the old NEP to new NEP, right? But what about the people, like if I plan to start a teacher training program,
Yes, ma'am.
Montessori teacher training program in near future, say coming after this pandemic settles down, another like from March onwards, what would be my requirements? Like what all do I need?
Ma'am, are you already presently conducting any courses?
So I am trained personally, but I look forward to
No, ma'am,
start
if
my
you're
own
already a
program.
trained person who is already affiliated, then you just need to upgrade yourself with the required permissions. But if
So
you are
I'm
talking
not
about,
affiliated. I have done the course actually. I'm not
yeah, so ma'am, you
affiliated.
have to register your organization as a training institute.
Okay. I register under what, sir? Like what are
Ma'am,
the
you can connect
requirements for
with me.
registration?
If you have my number, you
Yeah,
can
sure,
WhatsApp
sure.
me.
Is your number listed over the group, sir, through which we joined?
Yes, ma'am, in the group admin.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you so much. Lovely informative session. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
sir, I would like to ask one question here. Sir, now coming to NEP, from when is this going to affect us, sir?
Sir, ma'am, this was actually supposed to be from this year, but unfortunately,
yes,
due
sir.
to the pandemic situation, the textbooks have not developed. So what has happened is that, we have this culture of following a uniform curriculum as per NEP. So what is going to happen is that now in major cities, most of the educators are, probably got information about this. But if you see the rural sector, they're still in that old setup. So it's very difficult because the teachers need training. So the textbooks are not out. So unless there is textbooks, it is very difficult for the educator to communicate certain things as per the NEP. Otherwise, what will happen? There will be differential learning happening at different parts of India, which is not advisable at all. So the NCERT is delayed because of the pandemic situation. So we were supposed to start this year. So now we can, so Nina was showing you a timeline, which was the original plan of NEP. Now we have got delayed by 1 year. So it will start from 2022.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, Nina, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. There's another question in the chat. Will it be beneficial to do elementary education course for primary school? Of course, it will be beneficial, and especially for Anganwadis and Balvatikas, when we talk about that, then anything provided by the state or the districts will be valid. When it comes to cities, they look for competencies. And so we need to, the more we have, the more we learn, the better it is. So anything by the government, yes, it will be recognized everywhere. And Montessori ways of teaching has amazing ways of interacting in the classroom. So why not? That also will remain. So with that, I think, are we done for today? Thank you.
If there are any further questions, you can always communicate to
Post in
us.
the chat.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.